Hi, welcome. We are looking at decimal number line, and we're going to be focusing on tenths and hundredths places as we dive into lesson 102. So, you've taken care of the warm-up, and today's new concept, we are looking at decimal numbers, and we've been talking about decimal numbers before, but here it says we've used decimal numbers to name lengths that include a fraction of a centimeter. So for example, the length of this segment, you're given a segment right down here. That segment can be written as 23 millimeters. If you look at this ruler here, we're using the tiny marks on that ruler, which are millimeters. And so that would be 10, 20, and then we're estimating 3 more tiny marks, so approximately 23 millimeters. Or if you're going to use the larger marks here, 1, 2, 3, those are measured in centimeters. Notice there are 10 small marks in 1 centimeter because each small mark is a millimeter. So 10 millimeters is the same length as 1 centimeter. So in this case we have 1, 2, and then since we're talking centimeters here, each of these marks is a tenth of a centimeter. So 1, 2, 3 would be 2.3 centimeters, which is the same as 23 millimeters. Okay? A millimeter is 1/10. 1 millimeter is 1/10 of a centimeter. Alright, here, if you are going to measure to this location here on the number line, it says on the following number line, the distance between every two whole numbers is divided into 10 equal parts. So the arrow is pointing to the number 3 1/10. So right here, this location on that number line that the arrow is pointing to would be 3, but we're a little bit past 3, approximately on that next mark. And every mark here, you'll notice there are 10 marks in between 3 and 4. So every unit from 3 to 4 has 10 marks, or 1/10. Every mark is a tenth of that unit. So if you go to the next mark, that's going to be a tenth. Added on to the 3 is 3 1/10, or 3.1. If you're able to make even tinier marks, if we're able to, between 3 and 4, if we're able to make 100 equally spaced marks, I can't even draw that, but if you were able to make 100 equally spaced marks there, and now we're going to enlarge it and look here at what that would appear like, we've got 100 marks now between 3 and 4. So that means every mark is going to be a hundredth of the unit. So if we come to the arrow right here, it's going to be 3, but we're past 3, not to 4, but we're past 3, and right there at that location we are, if you count how many tiny marks there are 25 of them. So this would be 10, 20, and then 5 more. That would be 25. So 25 of the tiny marks means 25 hundredths. You can write it as 3 25 hundredths, or 3.25. Alright. So here's example number 1. It says Santiago is 162 centimeters tall. What is that in meters? Well, every meter, 1 meter, can be divided into 100 centimeters. 100 centimeters is the same as 1 meter. So that means if I've got 100 centimeters, that's 1 meter. If I've got 200 centimeters, that's 2 meters. If I've got 300 centimeters, that's going to be 3 meters. But what if I have something in between 100 and 200, like 162? Well, then we're going to use decimals. So So 162 centimeters is going to be 1.62 meters. So imagine the meter stick is divided into 100 marks. Each of those marks is a centimeter. So that would be 1.62, 62 hundredths. Okay? So 100 centimeters equals a meter, so 1.62 meters is the same as 162 centimeters. Here we have a number line, and we have an arrow pointing to that location right there. So it's past the 9, not quite to 10 yet. And notice there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 marks in between 9 and 10. So those are tenths. So that's going to be 9, and then how many marks? 6 marks past the 9. Each mark is a tenth. So that's 9 and 6 tenths, or 9.6. Here, notice now, be careful, look very carefully. This is 7.5, and then this is 7.6. So this mark is 7.5, this is 7.6, and there are 10 marks in between that. So every mark here is representing a hundredth, because this is 7.5, or 7 and 5 tenths. This is 7 and 5 tenths, 7 and 6 tenths, and if you've got 10 marks in between tenths, then those are going to be hundredths. So, as a decimal, it's easy because you just go to the next decimal place. So 7.5, and then if you go 2 more marks, it's not 7.7, that's up here. You don't add 2 onto the 5. It's 7.5, and those 2 marks there are hundredths. So it's 7.52. The 2 has to go in the hundredths place. Round 9.6 to the nearest whole number. Well, if you had 9 and then 10, and in between there you had 10 marks, alright, or 10 spaces, 10 marks there to represent tenths. 9.6, here's 9.1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and then 10 right there. Here's 9. So 9.6 would be closer, because 9.5 is halfway. 9.6 is closer to 10 than it is to 5, so we're going to round it to 10. Okay? You're choosing the closest whole number to 9.6. That's what we mean by rounding it. Round 9.52 to the nearest tenth. So the tenth, that 5 is in the tenths place. So we're asking, what is that 2 going to do to that 5? Is 52 closer to 60 or to 50? 7.52, here would be 7.6 or 7.60 and 7.50. I think you can see that 7.52 is closer to 7.5 than it is to 7.60. So this would be rounded to 7.5. Okay? You can look at this activity here. You can take a meter stick and you can measure different objects in the room. So using a meter stick, measure the height, width of different objects in your house, in your home, wherever, doors, tables, desks, etc., and measure them to the nearest centimeter, and record the measurement twice just because you want to double check. Sometimes you get one measurement, maybe next time you position the meter stick a little bit differently, or you adjust it and get a different measurement. But also you're going to do it in centimeters, measure in centimeters, and also you're going to do it in meters. So it's the same meter stick, same object, but you're just going to record it in centimeters and in meters. Okay? Also, sometimes we take multiple measurements and we take the average of those, because sometimes the measurements may not be as accurate as we'd like them to be. So sometimes we take multiple measurements and then take the average of those to get a better idea. Alright, let's look at this one. Julia jumped over a bar that was 167 centimeters high. How many meters high is that bar? I hope you can see now that you know that a hundredth of a meter is 1 centimeter, or 1 meter is 100 centimeters, that all you need to do here is 167 centimeters is the same as 1.67 meters. Write the decimal number to which each arrow points. So this here, you're in between 5 and 6. There are 10 marks. So that is right in the middle. That is 5.5. Here between 6 and 7, here's 6.5, 6.6, 6.7, 6.8. We're at 6.8. And here, 7, 7.1, 7.2, 7.3, 7.4. That's 7.4. Now you'll notice in between 4 and 5 there are 100 marks. So we're going to count how many hundredths are in between 4 and 5. So this is before 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You'll notice that some of the marks are a little bit longer. That's 5. A little bit longer still. That's 10. So that'd be 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40. That might help. So this is 4.5. This is 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40. And then 41, 42, 43, 44. So it's 4.44. Oops, sorry, I messed this up back here. This is not 4.5, this is 4.05. These are hundredths, not tenths. And then all the way here to G, if this was 40, it's 45, 50, 55, 60, 65, 70, 75, 80, 85, 90, and that would be at 95. So 4.95. Okay? Round 6.8 to the nearest whole number. So 6.8 is going to be closer to 7 than it is to 6. So we round it to 7. 4.44 to the nearest whole number. Well, that 4, the first 4 is your whole number. So 4.44 is closer to 4 than it is to 5, because 44 is less than, 4 is less than 4.50. 0.50 would be right in the middle, but you're below that, so you're going to round down to the nearest 4 is your whole number. Round 4.44 to the nearest tenth. Well, this 4, the middle 4, is your tenth. And again, that 4 after it is not 5 or greater, so you're going to round this off to just 4.4. Okay? Because 4.44 would be closer to 4.4 than it would be to 4.5. Okay? All right, I hope that's helpful. Very important skill to be reading the measurements carefully and accurately using tenths and hundredths. Okay? All right, go ahead and work on the mixed practice set and do a great job on that. And then let me know if you have any questions or you need further assistance. Keep up the great work.